starting in just a second, guys. Hey guys, welcome back to Trinity Competitive Racing. It's good to be back here in TCR for the 15th season here in Golden Class for another event, another season. It's sure to be an exciting season. This is the Australian Grand Prix Round 1 of the championship here in Golden Class, and we're racing around the Albert Park circuit. It is a phenomenal circuit. This is 14 turns, make up a 5.278 kilometer track. And there's also a bunch of DRS zones to help encourage overtaking. It's going to be an epic race to watch, and a very intense one at that. So, I'm Formula Jonah, the commentator for today in Golden Class. I am also a silver driver with Ferrari for Season 15 and have been in TCR since Season 10. And I'll be commentating you the action for today's race. You join us with around 15 minutes remaining of the qualifying session here in Golden Class with a stacked grid for this event here in Australia. If you are new to TCR, please make sure to subscribe to not just the YouTube channel, but Twitch as well. We are live on both platforms at the current moment, and definitely leave some comments as well if you're interested in just the action. If you have any questions, just predictions, anything like that, let me know down in the comments below. I will try and respond to every single one of them if I get the opportunity, of course. But we're talking about the racing today, and we got to talk about these drivers. What a grid this is. 19 cars on the track today, and we have our first lap time from the driver we are kind of watching right now, and that is C. Rizzi in the Alpine. Definitely going to be interesting to see what he can do, and he's got the fastest lap time at the current moment, a 1:18.316. Seagrease and Fire Flow are the other two drivers that have set lap times. And, yeah, as I did mention, there is a bunch of drivers out on the grid. Very, very competitive field is going to be for the... What is it? I think 15 rounds of the season. I'll look one more time just to make sure on that. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting season. Japan is next, and then I believe Brazil as well. So it's definitely going to be a great one. And good luck to all drivers as well. Of course, this is the first race of the season, and I can tell you from experience from driving in silver yesterday, this track is a very difficult one. And it's something that is going to be very, very difficult for these drivers today. Turn 1, traction zone, of course, and then we also got the very, very, very difficult chicane. I believe it is turn 9 and turn 10. And we'll take an onboard with one of these drivers in a moment, and I'll go over the full track details and all that sort of thing. But we have some times coming in. We're about 13 minutes into the session. Tebow in P3 for Mercedes. Oh, and that is a spin for an AlphaTauri driver. Is that Omega or Level Up Dre? I believe it is Omega because Level Up is unfortunately in the pit lane. Oh, and Omega is actually just retired from... Oh, sorry, not retired, disqualified from the session. That is actually very surprising and incredibly unfortunate for Omega. And I also want to mention that... Gims, I believe I pronounced that correctly. Sorry if I did not, and sorry if I pronounced things a little differently on the drivers' names. But I believe the Aston Martin driver was fastest in preseason testing just last week. Unfortunately, his session has not gone great. Out already in the session, so that means they'll be starting towards the back of the grid, which is not good news for the Aston Martin team. Their drivers are Matt Roofer and Gims, and Matt is going to have to carry this team through qualifying, currently with a 1:18.729 in the Aston Martin car, sitting 4th fastest at the moment. So not good news on one side of the garage for Aston Martin, considering that Gims was very quick in preseason testing. I believe he was the fastest driver in preseason testing. at that. And yeah, it's definitely going to be an exciting session today. 12 minutes now remain of qualifying. And yeah, just excited to be back here in TCR, guys. I have not been commentating on Golden Division or just commentating in general on this league, as I haven't found enough time to be able to make it on Golden or Platinum days, as only Silver is the day I can make it. But here I am. I'm here commentating for you guys, and just really happy to be back here in Trinity Competitive Racing. It's been so long since we have been racing. I believe the last season was, I believe, last year, actually, in 2022, and it ended, I want to say, around November. The end of November, and now here we are a couple of months later for season 15, the first round of the season here in Australia, in Melbourne. It's definitely going to be an exciting one. So currently C Rizzy is fastest overall. That time, actually, as I say that, SPM in the Mercedes goes faster than C Rizzy with a 1:18.228. Very competitive lap time for Mercedes, and I think that they might be the team to beat this season. SPM and Tebow, of course, those are the two drivers sitting first and fourth at the moment. Competitive lap times from both so far, and preseason testing looked good for both of them. Of course, in previous sessions in TCR, they have looked pretty good. I know Tebow, he was a silver driver when I was racing, and he won the championship when I was racing, and he was incredibly competitive. I couldn't get close to him. He was that quick. So definitely going to be a team to watch out for. And I believe some of the TCR officials actually went over predictions and just thoughts as, oh, CPM does spin it off of the exit of turn 10. And thank you for the correction from the Aston Martin driver, GMBZ, as I will pronounce it that way from now on. But what I was saying before was the TCR officials did go over predictions and just thoughts on Golden Class, and that was in the latest recording of the racing podcast, I believe, the racing podcast for Trinity Competitive Racing, and basically the preview to TCR in Season 15. So definitely go watch that one, guys, if you are interested in knowing who voted what for predictions and all that sort of thing. I'm going to try and find an onboard with one of our drivers here and see if we can get a lap with one of them. Maybe Seagreased. I believe he's actually on an in-lap. If I can find someone else. Maybe we'll take an onboard with the Mercedes driver, Tebow, in the Mercedes. He's about to come into turn 9 and 10. We'll take an onboard with him as he starts his lap. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an exciting session, and I think these drivers will need to make sure that they keep consistent. This track is a very, very difficult one, and I think consistency is definitely going to be key. Drivers do not want to push at the start. That is something that you don't want to do for a round here, as it is something, this track can provide very good racing. However, there's a lot of traction zones. There's a lot of places to spin, a lot of places to make mistakes, and it's definitely a very, very difficult track. Let's take it on board with Tebow in the Mercedes. Down the pit straight we come into turn 1. Let's see what he can do. A traction zone. This is, of course, as you want to exit turn 1 and 2 onto the first of the DRS stretches. Down to turn 3, a great place to make an overtake as well. You want to make sure that you slightly hit the curb on the entrance. Turn 4, another traction zone. Purposely go wide as you exit turn 4. Into 5 we come. And this is where drivers spin off as well. A very fast turn 6 and turn 7. They made this corner very wide compared to the previous games. And now we come on to an S section of the track, but it's a very fast section, staying in 8th gear for the majority of the lap. And here comes that chicane. That is turn 9 and turn 10. You have to get this absolutely precise as you come through this section of the track. This is where Carlos Sainz went off in 2022. Onto the 3rd DRS straight. We come and down to turn 11. You want to brake late, of course, because you have a lot of runoff off to the exit of turn 11. Turn 12 we come to now. The drivers are going to go a little bit wide because there's going to be a lot of understeer. Into 13 and 14, shifting up quite a bit. You're going to stay in a 3rd to 4th to 5th gear section of the track. Onto the final straight and the push to the line to see where Tebow goes. Currently P6, goes P3, lines it up right behind his teammate with a 1:18.248. Very competitive time and a very clean lap as well. And meanwhile, while that was going on, C. Rizzy in the Alpine did go faster than SPM. It is a 1:18.030 for the Alpine driver and just edges ahead of the two Mercedes. But I talked about earlier that those Mercedes drivers could be the team to beat this season, and look where they stand right now. P2 and P3. Absolutely incredible. As Raiden Shogun now goes faster with a 1:17.9, the first driver to dip into the 1:17s, and the McLaren driver, former Aston Martin driver for Silver last season, now with McLaren, goes fastest overall here in Golden class. We haven't talked about the Silver drivers from last season moving up to Golden. I quickly want to do that because there's actually quite a bit of Silver drivers from last season that got booted up to Golden, if you will. Raiden, former Silver driver. I believe Rafa Hulk is another one. Seagreased, Ben Swerven, and let's see, there was another one as well. I believe Omega. Omega was the other driver. So those drivers have gone up to Golden now, and I'm interested to see what they can do. They were very quick in Silver last season, and I think they're gonna very much impress the rest of the former Golden drivers from last season and give them a fight for their money. But Raiden Shogun, driver, as we mentioned, from Silver last season, comes into this and is currently on provisional pole position for the first ever race here in Australia. Just showing that it's going to be a very competitive season for these drivers here today and throughout the remaining rounds of TCR's Golden class in Season 15. So we're currently on board with C. Rizzy in the Alpine as they come through Turn 3 and 4. Just want to take an onboard with the Alpine for just a bit here as we had another driver go faster. I believe it's Exertion in the Williams. He's just gone P8 with a 1:18.7. Look how quick these times are as well. I believe from around 2nd to 11th, it's separated by around 8 to 9 tenths of a second. That is very competitive from these drivers today and just shows how close this Golden Class Championship is hopefully going to be. C. Rizzy exits turn 11, a little bit wide on the exit there, but it's all good as he comes down to turn 11 now. Let's see what the Alpine driver can do. Pretty neat. Turn 11, turn 12, let's see. Goes wide, thankfully. Oh, and he does invalidate. Unfortunate for C. Rizzy. They're going to come into the pit lane now, and that is unfortunate. Yeah, if you go too wide at turn 12, you do invalidate. It's a corner where there's going to be a bunch of understeer. And this track is kind of weird with the setup as well, as the drivers have to kind of go for a... I can't really explain it, because I was going to say they kind of want to go for like a medium setup, like a little bit of downforce, but not too much, so they can have power on the fast corners and straights. But I guess it's going to be different for all drivers here. In the TCR Silver race yesterday, I ran a very high downforce setup because of how difficult this track was for me. But then other drivers ran a lower downforce setup, and I realized that maybe that was the option for the race to come, as you want speed for around here, especially on this section right here where Rafa Hulk is going as he approaches his likely final lap in the Golden Class qualifying here. But yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see how these drivers run their setups for the races, and we will see how this goes for the upcoming event here in Australia. And like I mentioned previously, consistency is definitely going to be key for a race with such magnitude as the Australian Grand Prix. This track is very, very difficult, very intense. As we rode on board with Tebow, you could see that he was pushing to the absolute maximum, but these drivers, I mean, they might be the best of the best, but this track is a very, very difficult one to manage, and consistency is definitely going to be key, and these drivers also want to make sure that they don't risk anything down to turn 1. It's a very narrow part of the track as Rafa Hulk starts his final lap of the session. He's got a car right ahead. Hopefully that doesn't impact his time. Oh, thankfully it does not. The Alfa Romeo does get out of the way, so Rafa Hulk powers his way down to turn 3. He's unfortunately got more traffic to worry about. Thankfully, those drivers should move out of the way. The Red Bull's not, unfortunately, no, and Rafa Hulk has to back out. And the Red Bull actually has backed out. The Red Bull has not backed out at this time. Rafa Hulk has to. And that has really affected Rafa Hulk's chances of a higher position. And that might be a penalty for whoever the Red Bull driver was, either Seagreast or Ben Swerven, as both of them are on outlaps there. And that's unfortunate for Rafa Hulk. He might be able to go out for another one, though. If he cools down these tires, he might be able to save a bit of ERS, save those tires for one more final push lap. But drivers are going out on their final times now. Here we go, guys. The final part of qualifying for the first round of the Golden Class here in Melbourne, Australia. Raiden Shogun, will he be able to get pole position for McLaren and start off his first Golden race on pole? We will see how that works out. He's going to start his final attempt of a lap, and actually he is invalidated. So that's it for Raiden Shogun. No more improvements on his time. He's got to hope that no one else improves on their times. But I'm seeing some pretty quick lap times out there so far. Or at least fast sectors for some of these drivers. Who's next to come to the line? I think one of the Mercedes is. I believe that is Thibaut. But I believe he's starting a lap. Next, it should be Matt Roofer and the main Wayne. I like that name. They are both coming to the line now. Wayne improves to 13th. Matt improves to 3rd, a 118.1. I also see some support for Ray Magic. Definitely going to be, hopefully, a good race for them, and great to see some more support as SPM does improve on his time to go just that bit faster than Raiden with a 117.948. That is the time to beat for these drivers on track. What about C. Rizzy? He is up by 1/10 of a second. That's big. That could impact this one. This could be one of the closest qualifying sessions we've ever seen in Golden Class. Next to come to the line should be one of the Haas's. I believe it is Rafa Hulk. Oh, no, Rafa Hulk is actually spun. So that's it for him. A difficult qualifying session. Sir Charles to the line. He goes P5, a 118.1. Good lap time from Sir Charles. Seagreast and Ben Swerven are coming to the line, as well as an Alfa Romeo of you having a giggle, and a Williams, I believe, of Ray Magic. And C. Rizzy has spun the car. That is at the final couple of corners now. His time is done. That is incredibly unfortunate. Unfortunately, we missed that on... oh, and he's actually been disqualified. No way. No way. And Matt Roofer's left the session as well. Oh, my goodness. C. Rizzy, a contender for the win, possibly, of course, is disqualified from the session in the final few corners of qualifying. Crazy stuff there. He's going to have to come back stronger in the race. Fire Flow has spun the car as well, so the only driver on a lap, I believe, is Ray Magic, although I believe he is backed out of his lap. So I believe SPM is on pole position by around 4/100ths of a second to Raiden Shogun, followed by Seagreast in the Red Bull, and Matt and Sir Charles round off the top 5. So that is the end of qualifying here today. We see the results screen coming up just about now. SPM on pole position for the first race here in Australia. The Canadian driver sets a 117.947. Raiden Shogun in the McLaren, a P2 on the front row of the grid as well, followed by Seagreast. Matt, Sir Charles, Thibaut, Cakes, Rafa Hulk, Ray Magic, and It's Exertion. Both Williams in the top 10 as well, so great to see them up there as well. Really unfortunate to see C. Rizzy down in, I believe, 19th or 18th. I can't remember exactly where on the grid. But the fact of the matter is he has been disqualified. Very shocking. So, Here we go for the Australian Grand Prix. No, I was about to say no formation lap, but we actually do have formation lap on for this race. So we will get some time for these drivers to warm up those tires. Get ready for this event. They want to make sure that they have good temperature in those tires. You want to get a good start. I know that from experience in the silver class last race. I tried to get temperature in the tires, but it was very cold out on track, so it was definitely hard. So here we go. Gonna be an exciting race. Predictions, anyone? Send them down in the comments. Who's gonna win the race? Let me know who you think is gonna take victory here in the first race for TCR's Golden Class in season number 15. And as I already have mentioned, I want to mention it one more time. I'm Formula Jonah, TCR Silver driver, and member since Season 10, and I'll be your commentator for the Golden Class. And I hope to be commentating more here in Golden, as it is definitely an exciting division. If you are new to TCR, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the Twitch channel as well. Definitely need your support throughout the next couple of, or forever actually. It's definitely going to be good to have you on throughout the whole season. I believe we almost have 600 subscribers on the YouTube channel, which is awesome as well, so great to see that. And also I wanted to mention, if you want to check out the TCR website, go down in the description down below. The links are there. And I'm going to get tires out on our screen so we can take a look at what these drivers have picked for this race. No soft tires. That's exactly what I see right now. We see medium compound tires for most of these drivers, hards for some. And the key moment I want to talk about right here is the top two. Look at that. SPM on the mediums, but the more shocking thought here is that Raiden Shogun is on the hards. Now, remember, he is starting at the front of the grid, so he's going to need to get the best start imaginable. And the reason why I say that is because the hard tires are the coldest tires on the grid, you could say, which effectively means that whoever's running a hard compound tire has to warm them up so much so they can be within a good temperature. They, I guess, are the slowest dry compound tire. The soft compound tire is the fastest, medium is next, and as it says in the name, medium is the medium tire. And then Raiden, who's on the hard, for example, is on the slowest compound tires. However, the hards last the longest as well, so Raiden might be thinking of a perfect strategy. Hard tire could be the way to go for the win here. I'm definitely interested to see what happens. So here we go. The drivers are coming to the line to form up the grid for the 29 laps of the Australian Grand Prix. We are here for round one of the Golden Class. I'm Formula Jonah, the commentator for TCR. In today's race for Australia, it's definitely going to be an exciting season, and I hope you stick with us for the remaining laps of the race here in Melbourne for the Albert Park circuit, of course. All right, here we go. Trying to get a good camera angle here so we can see who is where. And SPM will start on pole position. Who's going to lead into turn one, though? That is the question. Let's see how this goes for these drivers. We're waiting for those lights to go out. Here we go. The lights are about to go out for the Australian Grand Prix. And the lights are out, and away we go. The racing begins here in Australia. And it's a pretty good start for the front runners. There we go. SPM in the lead of the race. And Matt has already got into P2. Rated in P3 now. And the Red Bull of Segrist is now trying to challenge Tebow. Down to turn two we come. It is SPM that leads us away into three now. And the top three are away pretty cleanly as we see Segrist and its extortion swapping positions as well. The Red Bull gets ahead of the Williams. And it's also Sir Charles and Rapahulk, the two Haas's, in the battle as well. Great start for both drivers. It doesn't seem to be any crashes at the moment, as we see an Alpha and an AlphaTauri going side by side as well. the main lane in that battle. Let's see, the McLaren's going round the outside of you, having a giggle back up to the front of the field. Ben swerving, trying to get past Rapahulk and Sir Charles. Here goes the Red Bull, round the outside of the Haas, into turn 9 and 10. Can he pull it off? Let's see. He's going for it, round the outside. He has to back out, though. The Haas will just not give him enough space for the Red Bull to go round the outside, and that's fair. That's fair racing all the way. So, SPM coming to the last few corners of the track to start lap 2 of the race. He has successfully completed 1 lap of the Australian Grand Prix. Matt in the Aston Martin is P2, and Raiden Shogun did not get a very good start, but I have to feel, I feel like that is because of the hard compound tires. As we discussed in the formation lap, the hard tires are a very, very hard tire, or very difficult tire to start on because of how cold they can be at the start of the race. He needs to get temperature in them, and I would say give him about 5 to 6 laps, and then those tires will be race ready, basically. So we have the Haas's in a battle with Ben Swervin, and I believe TCR F1 Racer is in this fight as well. As, will there be a little team orders between the Haas drivers? Let's see. Rapahulk defending against Ben Swervin, who's actually now dropped back a little bit, and now the 2 Haas drivers are chasing after its exertion in the Williams, who is P6 at the current moment. We have Cakes and F1 Racer swapping positions. Good move from the Alpine driver. Cakes into P10 now. So, making his way through the field, but F1 Racer's coming back out, and the Ferrari driver is looking to the inside line, into turn 11. Here we go. F1 Racer's just going to get ahead of Cakes. Cakes is coming back at him, still close to the driver in the Ferrari. But Cakes is just going to back off. So, the Alpine got past, but F1 Racer came back at Cakes, and now he's back past. So, good move from F1 Racer, and Ferrari are making their way through the field. We have, a nice battle here for 14th at the current moment. You having a giggle, defending from 3 drivers. GMBZ in the Aston Martin, who was very fast in pre-season testing, unfortunately retired very early, so we don't really know his pace in this particular session, is defending against that AlphaTauri driver, and is also trying to get ahead of the Alfa Romeo driver. So up at the front, no change for the top 5. But Seagreast is closing up to Thibaut, who's also closing up to Raiden. So it's, all the drivers are kind of catching up to each other here. Great start for the Mercedes team. SPM leading the race by now 2.3 seconds to the Aston Martin driver in P2. And Thibaut in the second Mercedes is right on the gearbox of Raiden Shogun, and let's see if he can make that overtake on the McLaren driver. Remember, Raiden is on those hard tires, so those tires are not going to be full temperature until around lap 6 or so. So he's still got around 3 laps to start warming up those tires and defend against Thibaut and keep P3. And we also have Cakes, I think, coming back at F1 Racer. The Alpine driver might have a good chance down to turn 3. Getting closer as he comes through turn 1. Cakes is just going to back off. Now, not going to make that move quite yet. And I think F1 Racer's got the better line out of 2. So Cakes will just have to back off and not make that move on that Ferrari just yet. But of course, there is many more opportunities to make an overtake on this track. And we have a battle between the 2 AlphaTauris. Omega and Level Up Dre have swapped positions. So the 25 car is ahead of the 2. And what happened to GMBZ in the Aston Martin? He's down to 19th now, so that's not good. I believe he was fighting for 14th, 13th at the time. But something must have happened, like a spin or something like that. Don't want to see any driver have an accident or an incident, you know, all that sort of thing. But sometimes that does happen. As we have a move for 10th. Oh, and there's also a spin for Ray Magic in the Williams. That is off at turn 11. As we see, a 3-car battle here. The second Ferrari coming in the mix now. Fire of Flow. And there's also a Red Bull. Ben Swervin, I believe. Oh, no, it's actually Segrist. Segrist is coming into the pit lane. He's got no wings, so action all over the place on lap 5. Segrist into the pits for Red Bull. He has to change his wing. That was a very, very exciting moment there for the Ferrari team as F1 racer defending against Cakes allowed Fire Up Flow to get ahead of the Alpine, and now both Ferraris are in the top 10. Meanwhile, a move up at the front with the Haas drivers. So a decision has been made. Rafa Hulk is now ahead of Sir Charles in the Haas. And Sir Charles will now have to defend against Ben Swerven in the second Red Bull. He's coming back at the Haas driver. And let's see. This is all about straight line speed, this particular section. Who's got the better straight line speed? This also depends on slipstream, and Ben Swerven's got it at the moment. Can he go for a move around the outside like he did on the Ferrari just a few laps ago? No, that is not the case for Ben Swerven. He's going to wait just a little bit longer to make that move on the Haas driver. Remember, Haas are playing the team game here. They are having a very interesting strategy here, which seems to be Sir Charles kind of holding up Ben Swerven, but also running close to Rafa Hulk. And then Rafa Hulk is starting to try and chase after its exertion. So Haas are playing the team game here, but they're playing it well, and it seems like both drivers are able to catch up to the rest of the field and defend at the same time, so it's working out. Can Sir Charles defend against Ben Swerven, though? He does for the time being. Ben Swerven has to brake a little bit more, and that means Sir Charles keeps that position. I was afraid it was going to be wrong there for a moment that the Haas's were defending, but they were defending. They did it well. So up at the front, Raiden Shogun is catching up to Matt Rufer in the Aston Martin. I think those hard tires have started to come into play now. Like I said, lap 6, lap 7, those hards are going to get into a normal temperature as we have a spin towards the back of the field. I believe that is Ray Magic in the Williams. No DNF, though, so he's back out on track. And there's also a move up at the front. I believe Level Up Dre's also off the track. And I believe there's also a move between 10th and 11th. Fire Up Flow down to 11th position. And now Wayne is now going for it. The main Wayne down the inside of the Ferrari. He's still side-by-side with Fire Up Flow. They're going to go side-by-side into 12 now. This is an understeer part of the track, so drivers have to make sure that they don't hit each other when they go side-by-side or run the other driver off the track. In this case, it didn't happen, so good news there. But Wayne is going to try and overtake Fire Up Flow, likely down into turn 3. Because turn 1 is kind of used as the slipstream moment for these drivers as they can kind of catch up to the car ahead. Let's see. What can Wayne do? He's catching up to that Ferrari, but he's going to have to make a very late send if he's going to go for it. He's too far back. He cannot go for that overtake. But I want to catch up to the rest of the field here. The top 3, I want to say. Because we have Raiden right on the back of Matt. Lap 7 now, and the McLaren driver is looking for the move on the Aston. Looking for P2 now in this race. As Level Up Dre gets a 3-second time penalty. Meanwhile, Ben Swerven and Sir Charles, I believe they swap position. I believe Rafa Hulk and its exertion also swap positions. So Rafa up into 5th position now. Meanwhile, Raiden still in the back of Matt and Tebow in that battle as well. It's a 3-way fight for 2nd position, and Raiden is looking to reclaim 2nd in this race. If anyone can try and fight with SPM, I think it might be Raiden Shogun. He might be the driver to take the fight to that Mercedes, who's now 4 seconds ahead of the pack. On board with the McLaren as we come down to turn 3. I think he's just a little bit far behind to make that move on the Aston. Yes, he is. My theories have been proven correct, as Raiden is just a tad behind that Aston Martin to go for a dive bomb or any sort of overtake. He will have an opportunity, though, down to turn 11. And that is that 90-degree-ish corner, if you will, as Tebow gets a 3-second time penalty. That's not good for the driver, who's currently in 4th position at the current moment. Yeah, not good for Tebow. I'd say the first bad news, I would say, for Mercedes. They've had a pretty good race so far. Hopefully I didn't just commentators curse anyone, though. as Raiden catching up to Matt quite considerably, and the McLaren can't get past into 11 just yet. He will have the opportunity down to turn 1 and 3, though, so we will see if Raiden can get past. Matt goes a little wide into 12, that understeer corner, as I nicknamed it. Rafa Hulk, meanwhile, catching up to Tebow. And we have Raiden Shogun searching to reclaim second, and he's gonna reclaim second. Raiden takes second position off of Matt, and the McLaren driver finally has the temperature in those hard compound tires, gets past Matt, and is now into second position and pulling away. Oh, and that's Rafa Hulk out of the race! No way! The Haas driver is out! That's a full course safety car! And in Rafa's first full season Golden Class race, full-time drive Golden Class race, he is out. At turn 2, no, he was having such a good race. We were just talking about how he was having such a good race. I saw some support for him in the comments as well. It was going all so good, and it has ended in disappointment for Rafa Hulk. Hopefully he can come back stronger in Suzuka, though. But just feel gutted for him. He was having such a good race. I feel like that may have been a commentator's curse. It was a little bit of a... I was just talking about Rafa having a good race, and then he had that incident. Oh, that's super unfortunate. But now, let's move on and see what is going to happen with this safety car being called out on track. This is the first big moment, I'd say, in this race, is SPM's gap is going to be down. He's actually coming into the pit lane, so SPM into the pits. Likely onto the hards. Hards will likely go to the end of the race. Raiden, he's gonna stay out. Yeah, okay, that's understandable. He is on the hard compound tires. But although this has actually affected his race quite a bit, he has to be like an amazing defender if he's going to be able to defend against SPM, who's on fresh, hard compound tires. Although, at the start, Raiden should have a better start than the others on the hard compound tires, because remember, the hards are not very good at the very start. They need a few laps to warm up. So Raiden will have the advantage here, at least on the first 3 laps or so. And then SPM will come back in the next, I don't know, 5 laps after the safety car ends. But drivers have pit. I think actually every single driver has pit except the race leader, who's Raiden Shogun at the current moment. Everyone except Wayne and its exertion has pit onto the medium compound tires. And let's talk about its exertion in the Williams. Where has he come from? Now he's in P4, splitting Tebow and Matt. He has jumped. He's jumped Tebow. I want to say he was jumped Sir Charles, but I think he was just above Sir Charles. So he has jumped Tebow in the pits. How has he done? Oh, wait, hold on. I know why he's done that. Mercedes did a double stack. That's right. So Tebow likely had to wait a little bit longer for SPM to finish his pit stop, and that's why its exertion is now into P4. Okay, that's explained. I guess that makes sense now. We have a comment coming in saying exertion box for mediums. Yes, he did box for the medium tires. Now, that's actually... that brings up a very good question. And we have comments already coming in talking about it. And we have one that says he'll have to box again. Likely he will, and I'll explain that in just a sec. So, yeah, its exertion and the main Wayne have pit onto the medium compound tires. Right now, we have, let's see, 12... safety car will go in likely on lap 12. That's if, of course, the final 2 drivers come into the pit lane. And that means that we should have about... Ooh, I'm very, very bad at math, so apologies if I get this number wrong. I think we'll have about 17 laps remaining of the race. And mediums for around here last around 15. Realistically, if you think of it that way, the medium tires should go around 17 laps. They should last for that long. You can push them for a little bit longer, and even if you have to go a little bit longer than their recommended stage to pit, what you can do is just try to kind of ease it through the corners, not push as much, especially in like the mid portion of the tire life. So they should be okay. They should make it to the end of the race. The other option would be they have to come into the pit lane for the soft compound tires, and if there's another safety car, that would be the best option for them. So I could see it going both ways. I could see them staying out, and that's, of course, if the safety car does not come out again. If it does, I think they'll probably pit onto the soft compound tires. But we definitely have had an exciting race here in Australia. Safety car is actually coming in this lap, so as predicted, it will come into the pits. And also, I wanted to mention as well, if you're enjoying the commentary, definitely want to say thank you for sticking around for all this. I really hope that we can have you actually on board for the commentary team as well. And because I mentioned that, we're actually looking for commentators. TCR is looking for commentators to maybe join me or join any of the other classes for commentary. So if you are interested in going for commentary and or stewarding or driving or whatever, join TCR and let us know. Raiden Shogun, he goes now. So he goes on the exit of 15. Very smart move there from the McLaren driver. And I just messed up. That's 14. Turn 14. Raiden Shogun leads the race, and as predicted, his tires should be much better than SPM, at least for the first 2 laps or so. SPM is going to come back stronger, though, in the next couple of laps. You see, I'll show you. I'll show you what I mean by that in a few laps. We have It's Exertion, who's right on the back of Matt, and that Williams is going to be on a much faster tire than the drivers ahead. The hards are going to be quite cold compared to the medium compound tires, which are probably in an optimal temperature. So It's Exertion will have a very good opportunity to go for 3rd in this race on lap 12. Let's ride on board with the Williams driver, and this is all about the slipstream right here, all about the speed as the drivers push to around 100 and I would say 9 miles per hour on the stretch. And of course that's the regular speed, as we see an Aston going very wide there. Matt going wide at the exit 11. As we also see a move further down the grid. I believe that was one of the Ferraris making a move on another car. I believe it might have been TCR F1 Racer on You Having a Giggle, but not exactly sure about that one. So we exit the first lap after the safety car restart. Raiden Shogun leads by 0.4 of a second, now 0.3 to SPM. SPM's tires are going to be in a very good window, actually. He's gotten those tires warmed up. Oh, and that is Seagreased out! The Red Bull driver is retired, and that is a second safety car that has been called out on track. Seagreased out at the exit of turn, I believe, 14. That's a corner where you can spin very, very easily. It's probably the worst traction zone on this track. It might be even the worst traction zone on any F1 race. That's just my opinion, though. So yeah, let's see what happens here. Raiden Shogun likely will come into the pit lane. This is actually very good news for him, as he is on 12-lap-old hards. GMBZ will also come into the pit lane, most likely onto a medium. Raiden as well. So this is great news for them, although they are going to have to pass a lot of people here. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting. He's got to turn that overtake button on, honestly. Not the literal overtake button on, but the, I guess the mindset, if you will. He's got to go for these overtakes. And same with GMBZ, because they're going to be in the mix of, I'd say, the lower portion of the grid. So, let's see what these guys do. I'm assuming they'll probably come into the pit lane, but let's take a look. I could also see them stay out longer for the soft compound tires. Ready on board with SPM, and Raiden does come into the pit lane. Let's take it on board now with Raiden, who comes into the pits for likely the medium compound tires. Another tire would be really weird, but we'll find out. It is mediums for Raiden. There's also an Alpine crew out on track. I believe that is for C. Rizzy, maybe? Not sure why Alpine were out. Oh, that's, wait, who? Who pitted for Alpine? Yeah, what's Alpine doing? They got no one out, they're just sitting there. What is Alpine doing? I want to ride on board with someone. I think the Alpine crew are still there. I'm actually curious to find out. If I can get an onboard with... Nope, I can't. All right. Well, anyway, there's a mystery Alpine crew out there, so not really sure what they're doing, but maybe they got confused and we're just like, well, what do we do with these tires? Maybe wait here until until the next pit stop. I'm not really sure. This game has some weird glitches. But SPM takes over as race leader, followed by Matt Roofer in the Aston Martin and It's Exertion in the Williams. Exertion and the main Wayne, this is going to be very big news for them, as they will have a very good time to cool down those tires, make sure that they're in a nice operating window, and making sure that they can take them to the end of the race. And from this point onwards, they can really just push them as much as they want. They don't need to conserve, because this is their conserving point, is the safety car. So this is good news. Good news for It's Exertion. This puts them in a very, very good chance at not just getting a third position or a podium, but a race win. And the reason why I say that is because look at the tires. Medium compound tires versus hards. What would you pick in a battle? I would pick medium, because medium is a better tire than the hard compound tires. At least for the first portion of the race. But yeah, at the end portion, you probably want the hards, which would be like around lap 26 or so. But who knows? We'll see how it goes. I also want to mention Tebow in that Mercedes. He still has that 3-second time penalty. So judging by how many penalties we have on screen right now, which is only level up Dre and Tebow, I don't expect him to be on the podiums. But hey, we've seen more crazier stuff in TCR and league racing and just racing in general, where drivers, I don't know, they're down in 13th or something like that, and they end up winning at the end of the race. So we'll see how that goes. And speaking of a driver in 13th, I just realized that this actually goes with Raiden Shogun, as he actually has a very strong chance of winning this race. So I just predicted something without even realizing that it actually could very well happen in this race. So let's talk about Raiden. He's got 12 cars ahead of him, all on older tires. He's on the medium compound tires, so he's got to get a very good start. I think his priority should be getting past Omega, C. Rizzy, Fire Flow, and You Having a Giggle. Those are the 4 drivers I would kind of make the goal of getting past. So let's see what Raiden does, and yeah, we'll see. As safety car is in this lap, the racing resumes here in TCR for Golden Class. SPM will lead us away by around 0.4 of a second, and we will get the racing back per TCR. SPM leading us away. Raiden went on the exit of 15. I'm curious to see where SPM goes. Could be exit of 14, which is the second to last corner, or the final corner. Let's see. Whoa, he goes early. Whoa, okay. Way earlier than I anticipated, but it's a great start from SPM. Very smart thinking, actually. I think a lot of drivers weren't anticipating him to go that early, but it's worked out. Meanwhile, It's Exertion has had a great start in that Williams. This is his best chance at going for P2. He's looking for it. He's not going to make it, but oh, the Aston locks up! The Aston locks up! He's off the track! Matt has made a mistake! He's down positions now, trying to recover the car. Now down to P5 in this race. Ben Swerven's actually going to get past him as well. And Cakes is actually going to get past as well. Oh my goodness! Matt has moved down the order, and that it seems to be a lockup or something like that for the Aston Martin driver. Meanwhile, Omega has had some sort of spin or something like that. It's, Tebow's made a mistake. 2 drivers in the hunt for a podium have made a mistake here. Sir Charles is now up to 3rd. Ben Swerven up to 4th. And now Matt is getting overtaken by the main Wayne. Here comes the McLaren. Wayne is now looking for the second overtake on the Mercedes of Tebow. He's on the mediums, remember, so he's going to be much faster than the drivers ahead. You Having a Giggles looking for the move as well. The Alfa Romeo down the inside on Matt. He's going to try and make that move. Oh, there's contact between the 2. They both made contact. Matt and You Having a Giggle have made contact. It's been a horrible lap for Matt. A lockup at turn 1 forced him down to 7th position. Now down to almost dead last with wing damage. You having a giggle and Matt made contact, and that is incredibly unfortunate. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, there's action everywhere, guys. It's Exertion is now just a second behind SPM. I told you he could go for the race win. He's going for it. He's listened to those words, and he's like, let's do this. Let's do this, guys. Williams could be getting the first race win of the season. A second now, as Tebow has spun. No! Tebow has spun at the exit of turn 3. Another driver has had a major mistake, and Mercedes' day has gone from really, really good to very, very bad for one of our drivers at Mercedes. And the second might lose the race win as well. What looked to be a great race for Mercedes is slowly unraveling, and I don't want to see that, but it's happening regardless. Meanwhile, Raiden Shogun gets ahead of C. Rizzy in that Williams. He's going for the second overtake now. Fire and Flow just ahead. A little bit of lag going on my screen, but it doesn't look like that's affecting any position at the current moment. Raiden Shogun on the medium compound tires. Fresh new mediums for that McLaren driver, and he'll have a very good chance of overtaking the Italian manufacturer's car into turn 1 or maybe even turn 3. DRS at the perfect time for Raiden Shogun. He's on the back of the Ferrari using ERS. He's got 20% to spare. I don't know if he's going to go for it. He's looking to the inside line, and Fire and Flow's just going to keep the position from the McLaren, but Fire and Flow gets a little slow off of turn 1. Raiden has a perfect opportunity to send it. Fire and Flow's defending the inside, and there's now a virtual safety car just as we say that. And I believe that is because Level Up Dre has retired of the session off at turn 15, and that was the worst time for a VSC to be called out on track, as Raiden Shogun was just about to make an overtake on Fire and Flow in that Ferrari just ahead, and he's going to have to back off for just the time being. So SPM will have a break from its Exertion, and the battle will continue, though, for the remaining 10 laps of this TCR Australian Grand Prix. This has been an epic season opener here in Golden Class. Remember, guys, this is the second division here in TCR, and look how competitive it is already. Platinum Class is tomorrow, of course, and we'll see those drivers go at it for victory and all that. But we're focusing on Golden today, and we're going to focus on what is going on right now on our screens. It's Exertion, 5-10 separating himself and the Mercedes just ahead. That Williams could have a very strong chance at winning this event. A move further down the grid, I think Raiden Shogun and Fire Flow side by side down into turn 3. Second time around, Raiden cannot get past that Ferrari. Fire Flow doing a very good job of defending against that McLaren, but Raiden is all over the back of Fire Flow. He's going to have a strong chance into the fast S's, where you basically don't break at all. No time lost or gained between these two drivers at that particular current turn, but now Fire Flow is losing time to Raiden Shogun. The slipstream is working to Raiden's advantage, and he should have a very good chance of overtaking Fire Flow into 11, and turn 1 and turn 3. We have Sir Charles and Ben swerving. Ben goes deep, and there's more contact with the race leaders. Ben Swervin is out. Sir Charles and Ben Swervin have made contact, and those two drivers are down the order now. Ben Swervin out. It's a double disaster for Red Bull, a double disaster for Haas as well. 2 Red Bulls out of the race, 1 Haas out, and Sir Charles down the order, likely with wing damage. But we have to catch up with the battle for first position. We'll take a look at that in a moment. It's Exertion is going for it. Round the outside. He goes. This is for the race lead. He gets it! Its Exertion takes the lead of the Australian Grand Prix on lap 20. Absolutely insane stuff from Its Exertion. 10 lap old medium compound tires. We talked about it earlier that he had a strong chance at winning this event. Now he absolutely got it. 4 tenths, 5 tenths, 6 tenths separating themselves. Its Exertion is pulling away from SPM, and this has just turned into an absolute double delight for Its Exertion, as it was going really well at the start of the race for Its Exertion. He was coming through the field, and now it's even better. He leads the Australian Grand Prix on lap 20. Raiden Shogun still in the back of Fire Up Flow, meanwhile, on board with the McLaren driver. Round the outside we go. Fire Up Flow's defending the inside. We've seen 2 crashes at this particular turn. Hopefully not a second one. Or third one, sorry. And it wasn't the third one, thankfully. But yeah, what happened with Ben Swerven and Sir Charles? I believe Ben may have went a little too deep and actually pushed Sir Charles kind of off the track there. Ben, unfortunately, did retire from the session. That's not good for him. They were in a podium position as well, and I'm sure the stewards will definitely look into that particular incident. As we have GMBZ looking for the overtake on Fire Up Flow. As we see an AlphaTauri off the track. I believe that is Omega in the AlphaTauri. As here comes the Aston Martin. He's not going to make that move just yet. GMBZ will look to make that move into turn 11, though, as we exit turn 20, or sorry, lap 21. Moving up to the front of the field, SPM is actually not losing a lot of time to Its Exertion. For a moment he was, but now he's staying within a pretty solid gap, actually. So it's still possible for SPM to win this race, and it's more than possible because those mediums, they're good, but at the same time, they're going to start dropping off compared to the hards. The hards are going to become faster towards the end of the race. And as a comment comes in saying Exertion tire saving, you read my mind. That's exactly what it seems like is going on, as we have an AlphaTauri coming into the pit lane. Omega gonna have to get out of the way of the race leaders. SPM still trying to challenge that Williams, but he's not gonna make that overtake on this lap. Meanwhile, battle for 6th. Here goes the Aston, looking for the move. Does not pull it off, though. He's gonna have a good opportunity, though, down to turn 3, riding on board with the British Racing Green team. He's going to look to the outside. Fire Flow does a very good job of defending, as he's going around the outside, riding on board with TCR F1 Racer, and it is GMBZ that does get ahead of the Ferrari. I'll just say GM. I think that'll be okay for me, if that's okay, of course. TCR F1 Racer and Fire Up Flow, both in a good chance of getting strong points in this race. Although I would swap the 2 Ferrari drivers, and the reason why I say that is because TCR F1 Racer has fresher tires than Fire Up Flow. Also, meanwhile, we have Tebow out of the race. Not good for Mercedes in one of their cars, as here comes F1 Racer looking for the move on his teammate. Don't crash, guys. Golden #1 rule, do not hit your teammate. And thankfully, that rule was not broken. Up at the front, SPM looking for the move. He's going to the outside line. Whoa! He's going to get ahead. Its Exertion is just going to stay behind. What a move from SPM. He was looking to the inside, then switched it to the other side of the track. That was not a lot of room to go off by, but a great move from SPM. He now leads the Australian Grand Prix on lap 23. Its Exertion, that first overtake he made for the race lead may have affected his tires. And he's now dropping off quite considerably off of SPM. The Mercedes driver now leads the Grand Prix once again, and it might stay this way, honestly. Grand Prix once again, and it might stay this way, honestly. Look at McLaren as well. 4th and 5th at the current moment. It could be getting 3rd and 4th. The main Wayne in a strong chance of getting past Cakes, regardless of the penalty. He might be able to get past. Any more moves besides this? C Rizzy, 8 tenths behind Fire Flow. Ooh, AlphaTauri in the wall. Omega off at turn 12, I believe that is. He's going to rejoin. He is a lap down, though, so it won't affect a position. Its exertion is not dropping off too much. It's kind of the same situation as SPM. I wonder if he's saved the tires to the point where he's able to push again, because look how much time he's gaining on SPM. 0.6 of a second now. He was around 0.9 behind. Raiden Shogun, fastest lap of the race as well. As Omega does come into the pit lane, this might be a retirement. Yes, it is. He read my mind. Or rather, I read his mind, I guess. As we have GMBZ in the Aston Martin. Just a second ahead of TCR F1 Racer. They are on the same compound tires as well, so no change I expect from these two in position-wise, unless there's a mistake or a penalty or something like that. But we'll see. Anything can happen. Moving back to the battle for third. McLarens have joined the fight with the Alpine of F&D Cakes. And Cakes, I believe, has 3-second time penalties. Yes, they all have 3-second time penalties. All the drivers with penalties next to their name. And let's just take a look. What happens here? The Alpine is just about ahead. And Raiden might try and get on team orders kind of thing and say, I am faster. And do that, Fernando is faster than you. From the, I believe, Germany the Germany race, German Grand Prix back in 2010, I believe that was. But, yeah, of course, there's no team radio here, as it is just a game. Unless McLaren have paid for team principals and all that sort of thing. I highly doubt that they have, though. That would be kind of cool, though, if they did have like an engineer and like a principal and all that sort of thing. I know leagues that do have it, but I think this system, what TCR's got and what other leagues have, is the system to go with, honestly. Alright, so the two McLarens are breathing down the neck of Cakes in that Alpine. I think Cakes is feeling the pressure just a bit. Meanwhile, its exertion has dropped back quite a bit from SPM. I don't expect a change for the lead of the race. I believe that fight is over, so we just gotta kind of make it to the end of the race now. I want to take a look at the rest of the pack. We have C Rizzy and Fire Up Flow battle for 8th right now. I think Sir Charles is a little too far behind to make a move for an 8th position in this race. It could have been a P3 actually for Charles. Unfortunately, it did not work out for the Haas driver. Ooh, swap between the two McLarens. And I got a feeling that was... Oh, Raiden goes wide. That's not good. That's... I don't know if that was the right call, honestly, guys. But that was a switch, and that means that one driver is effectively onto the podium now. The other is not, so interesting to see. I wonder if they are in a party, and they're just like, alright, I've had my chance, you go get him. It's possible. We'll see. 3 laps to go in the Australian Grand Prix for the Golden Class in season number 15. The gap has grown between 1st and 2nd position now. And Cakes in that Williams is 3rd, followed by Raiden Shogun in the McLaren and the main Wayne. That completes the top 5. We've unfortunately lost Rafa Hulk, Seagreased, Level Up Dre, Ben Swervin, Tebow, Omega, and yeah, unfortunate to see. I don't know if there'll be any change, though, in position on track. I believe there will be in the... Oh, and that is the Alpine spinning off there. What a perfect 360, though. He saved that car. Wow. Cakes has lost the 2 positions to the McLarens and might lose the position to the Aston as well. Doesn't look like it, but gotta congratulate Cakes there. That was a perfect save. That was pretty awesome. That was hella cool. And GMBZ in the Aston Martin is looking to make that overtake on Cakes. I believe they both have 3-second time penalties, so this is the fight for position now. And the Aston of GM will have a very good shot at getting a top 5. Especially from towards the back of the grid, this would be a mega result for him in this race. Raiden Shogun actually might be able to overtake Its Exertion. He's actually catching up quite a bit, and Raiden might be able to take P2 in this race. Let's take a look, though. He's got 2 laps to do it. 2.5 seconds. He's catching up by around, I don't know. Fire Flow and, see, Rizzy's actually spun. So Alpine have definitely not had a good lap 27. Sir Charles is actually looking for the overtake for P9 now, so he's got the opportunity now to make that overtake. .7 seconds. Its Exertion might lose second position to Raiden Shogun. That was actually a smart move from McLaren there to swap the 2 drivers. Raiden is in a perfect opportunity to get P2 in this race. 1.5 now. Ooh, this is going to be close. As Sir Charles gets a 3-second time penalty, I think he'll stay in P10 then, regardless, because of that penalty. Ooh, 1.7. I don't know if there's any... Yeah, 1.8. Not looking good for Raiden. If he's going to make the move, it's going to have to be on the lap 29, on around lap 11 of this race. So here comes SPM. He's had a great race so far. He's got 1 lap left to go. Keep it consistent, my dude, and you will get P1 in this Golden Class race, in the first race of the season. Raiden, 1.5 seconds, 1.6 seconds. No change to the current moment. 1.4 seconds. He's actually gained a lot of time in that first couple of corners there. 1.3. If he's going to overtake that Williams, he has to get within, I'd say, 0.7 of a second, 0.6 of a second into turn 9. 0.9 of a second. He's in DRS range, 0.8 of a second. Ooh, this is coming down to the absolute wire now. He's got to use, like, everything he's got. Yeah, he is at the current moment. 0.8 of a second, 0.9 of a second. I don't think it's going to happen unless something happens to Its Exertion. A spin there, as C. Rizzy, I believe, has lost a little bit of time to Sir Charles now. 0.8 of a second. Raiden is too far behind. But here comes SPM in the Mercedes. He's had a very strong race today. And he's going to start off the Golden Class with the top spot on the podium. He's going to weave across the line. He qualified on pole position, and he's going to finish in that position. SPM wins the Golden Class Australian Grand Prix. Raiden got super close to Its Exertion, but Exertion does take home P2. Raiden in P3. It's a McLaren 3rd and 4th position. Great result for them. Cakes P5, GM P6, the 2 Ferrari 7th and 8th. C. Rizzy and Sir Charles round off the top 10. Wow, what a race. Epic race from all these guys today. Really showing that the Golden Class is going to be one hell of a season. And it definitely is going to be an exciting one, of course. We're off to Japan next, then to Brazil, and then the remainder of the season, of course. So it is SPM that wins the Australian Grand Prix. Pole to the win. What a race from him today. GM is driver of the day. Definitely agree with that. He went from towards the back of the field all the way up to P5, I believe, or maybe P6, something like that. I think it was P6. But yeah, here is our race winner, and then, of course, our podium celebrations. What a race from the Mercedes driver today. It is a Williams of its exertion in P1, or sorry, P2, and it is Raiden Shogun in P3. Just barely missed out on the podium there. Well, the podium celebrations are here. SPM wins the Australian Grand Prix and starts off the season in style. Takes the first win of the Golden Class here in Season 15. So here's the results for the Australian Grand Prix. SPM wins, followed by Its Exertion and Raiden Shogun rounding off the top three. Raiden actually got the fastest lap of the race as well, so good news for him. I'm going to see if I can get our podium celebrations, our post-race interviews. That's what I was going to say. Driver of the day for one of our viewers is Exertion. P10 to P2. Yeah, definitely a great race from him. On the podium, had a good chance of winning this one as well. So definitely a contender for the championship. The main Wayne is also a driver for consideration of driver of the day. P13 to P4. Great race from him, of course. Everyone is honestly a candidate for driver of the day. It's hard to pick one. But we're going to head likely into post-race interviews. Let me see if I can get our three drivers in here. So you may see like a blank screen or like a pause screen for just a moment, and that is because I am trying to invite our three race podium sitters. And yeah, I'm just going to do that real quickly. Actually, I've just realized that two of our podium sitters are actually on PC. So unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to invite them for a party chat since I'm on PlayStation. And I believe, I don't know if I think we likely won't invite SPM into the chat just because it wouldn't be fair because the other two can't get in due to me being on PlayStation. So I think that's just going to round things off here for the Golden Class. Wow, what a race. Gotta say, really happy to be back here in Trinity Competitive Racing. I hope you guys will enjoy the season. Of course, it's sure to be a very, very exciting one. But yeah, very, very great to see all these people here. And we have a comment coming in from MHC 2313, and he asked for a shout out. So I'm giving him a shout out. And I believe you were Exertion's engineer, I believe, as you said in the chat. So that's awesome. That's awesome. We got an engineer on the grid. So yeah, shout out to you. And shout out to the Williams driver as well. He did a great race. And to all the drivers, a very, very phenomenal race here today. But yeah, that concludes things. Join us tomorrow for Platinum Class. It is going to be the first round of their championship. I believe we have Haas driver Sir Charles, who is racing today in the commentary box, along with my fellow driver in silver class, Camden Luca for Alfa Romeo. They will be commentating that one. But yeah, I've been Formula Jonah, the commentator for Golden Class this race. I hope you enjoyed the commentary, and definitely stick around for Platinum Class tomorrow. Same time, of course, for the racing then. But again, thank you so much for watching Trinity Competitive Racing. That was Golden Class's first race. We will see you next week for round 2 at Japan. That is going to be the Suzuka circuit, of course, and a very challenging circuit as well, but it's sure to be an exciting one. But yep, that rounds off everything here today. Thank you again for watching. I'm Formula Jonah, signing off.